The Kansas City Chiefs came one win away from something that no team has ever done, which is 3 Super Bowls in a row. Instead, they fell in embarrassing fashion to the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59. What steps are necessary for the Chiefs to get back to this stage next year and reach the mountaintop once again? I identified 3 key areas for this offseason that need to be explored for the Chiefs and need to be improved upon for them to stay at the top of the NFL landscape. Let's dive in and see what they are. The first area that needs to be addressed on the Kansas City Chiefs is clearly the offensive line, and specifically the left tackle situation. I'm going to show some clips from last year versus this year to show the similarities and differences. Joe Thuney slotted in at left tackle, tried to fill in, but they need a more long-term replacement. Kingsley wasn't it. Wanya Morris definitely wasn't it. And I've got a target in mind for who they should go after this disastrous Super Bowl performance with 37.4% pressure rate. They had 3 different left tackles throughout the seasons, and in the Super Bowl, 22 pressures, 5 sacks allowed. Something's going to have to change. Chiefs cannot consistently win with below average and terrible, frankly, left tackle play. When you look at the Chiefs from last year, left tackle was still an issue for them. They had Donovan Smith over there who had come from Tampa Bay, but they still struggled in this regard. I mean, this is from the Super Bowl last year against San Francisco. This is, I think, the second quarter of the ball game, maybe late in the first, and you see Chase Young just obliterate Smith right there for a big-time sack. And I think that people are failing to realize Mahomes was pressured off that blind side. Not nearly as much of a gap between this year and last year as some seem to think. Now, one of the big remedies to the pressure that the Chiefs get sometimes, especially when other teams blitz, is something coming across over the middle. You're not going to see that here. Look, when Mahomes gets to the top of his drop, you got Noah Gray who's about to settle right here, but he's got 2 defenders looking across the other parts of the field. You got these 2 going to the outside. You got a receiver jammed up right over here. Mahomes doesn't really have anything that's going across over the middle. As a result, he has to run around. He tries to make something happen, and he can't. It's an incompletion. But that's the remedy, and I think that one of the problems for the Chiefs this year was they did not go to that nearly as much as last year, especially with the injury of Rashee Rice. Here you're going to get a inverted cover 2 look from the 49ers. They're going to be bringing 5. You're going to have 2 underneath defenders pretty much with these 2 DBs right here dropping deep. You got 2 curl flat defenders, and then you got the 2 underneath with Fred Warner, and I think that's Logan Ryan possibly right there. And the way that this is going to unfold is the Niners bring pressure. Fred Warner's keyed in here on Justin Watson because the safety isn't quite able to get in relation to this crosser route right as it starts to develop. What does that do? It opens up Travis Kelce wide open over the middle on a big-time 3rd down in the 4th quarter, and they move the chains. They ended up tying the game on this drive. This is more of what the Chiefs need to get back to, I think, on 3rd downs, especially when they know they're going to have to be hot and pressure's coming in. Another concept that the Chiefs absolutely love is mesh. You're going to have Rashee Rice down here at the bottom. He's going across. You're going to have, I believe that's Mecole Hardman, who's going to get in the way of the defender as he crosses the other way. We'll talk a little bit more about Rashee Rice later on in this video, but just watch how right here Hardman is able to get in the way. Mahomes has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rushers coming his way. Niners just have 4 in coverage, and honestly, he has multiple things open at his disposal here. He could throw this to Kelce right at the sticks, but he sees Rashee Rice coming across. This is in overtime on the game-winning drive. Pressure in his face, no problem. He's got something coming across the middle, and it's open. That's what the Chiefs have to get back to, I think, to kind of neutralize the left tackle weaknesses. One big problem that we saw in the Super Bowl, not only is there no middle of the field involvement here, it's been well documented. The Eagles did not have to blitz at all in this game. Here, they're only bringing 4, so they've got 7 in coverage across the board. You've got the secondary over here. You've got 3 underneath. That's 7 defenders in coverage. But, as I mentioned, nothing is really coming over the middle right now until Juju Smith-Schuster right here, which this is a misread by Mahomes, in my opinion. But that left tackle starts to get beat just as Mahomes could have been comfortable throwing that football. Left tackle is a spot that they have to get fixed, and I think they have to do it this offseason. Here you've got an example of what I'm talking about the Chiefs should be trying to accomplish in their route concepts in the pass game, and it gets kind of muddied up by the left tackle play here. See Joe Thuney down here starts to get beat. Will Anderson also coming strong up the middle, and the pass blocking just disrupts as Travis Kelce is coming over the middle. This was Travis Kelce's best playoff game. He's the one they like to get involved over the middle, especially when Rashee Rice was not out there and early last year when he didn't have as prominent of a role. But this right here is ruined by the pass blocking, poor pass protection, and again, I'm going to keep hammering it. Got a couple more examples before I get to the remedy per se, but that's what they've got to look at. Number one, no holds barred this offseason. This brings me to the problem solver for the Chiefs this offseason if they are serious about fixing their left tackle. Joe Thuney filled in admirably, as I mentioned. He's going to shift back over to left guard, and I think that big Ronnie Stanley is who they need to go after. The Ravens might not have the money to bring him back. The Chiefs should absolutely win a bidding war, on top of the fact that they can offer the best kind of competitive angle out of all the teams that will be vying for Stanley's services. But check Ronnie Stanley out here in a big-time playoff atmosphere. I know the Ravens lost this game. He's going to be going up against Greg Rousseau here on the outside, Buffalo's best pass rusher. And what does he do? He provides Lamar with a lot of time. And by the time Lamar steps up and finally starts to get pressured after about 3.5-4 seconds in the pocket, he's able to step up. He has a crease to take off. I know Patrick Mahomes is not Lamar Jackson, but I believe that Patrick Mahomes could turn this into a first down run as well. So I think that Ronnie Stanley needs to be at the top of the wish list for the Kansas City Chiefs this offseason. Here he is against Myles Garrett. I mean, Ronnie Stanley has a lot of experience. He's a big veteran tackle, and he's shown that he can hold his own against the best of the best. Like I said, here he is against Garrett, provides Lamar with ample time, and Lamar just misses the throw. I mean, that's a great pass pro rep by Ronnie Stanley, if you ask me. Here he is against Trey Hendrickson, the league leader in sacks in Cincinnati. I mean, again, best of the best. Ronnie Stanley has shown up in a really tough division full of great pass rushers. He gives Lamar time there. Lamar delivers a dot to Mark Andrews. And I just really like Ronnie Stanley as a potential fit for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he is just completely mauling Trey Hendrickson there. Hendrickson is not getting any kind of moves off. He's not getting any kind of penetration. Lamar has enough time. Doesn't have any pressure coming off the blind side, which is something that Mahomes dealt with all season long. Area number two where the Chiefs need to look to improve, in my opinion, is the running back room. Between Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt, the efficiency and the explosiveness were both poor. I mean, it was really just death by a million paper cuts. When this run game was slightly successful, they were second to last in explosive runs. They weren't forcing missed tackles, and they were getting stuffed a fairly good amount of the time. Isaiah Pacheco, it is to be determined whether he will return back to his previous form before the injury. Kareem Hunt really has no explosive ability. He filled in well, but just didn't do enough, and he's a free agent. I think that they need to look towards the draft for a running back. I'll have some examples again from last year and this year, and then some targets that I think they could go after in the NFL draft, maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. Another thing that the Chiefs have to get back to is effectively running the football. I mean, they were not good this season. I'll pull up the EPA numbers here in a moment, but they were not very good at running the football. It was kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts, and there weren't a whole lot of explosives that weren't Patrick Mahomes creating them. Whereas last year, Isaiah Pacheco, who I know his injury had something to do with this, he was busting explosive runs like this. This is against Buffalo in the divisional round last year, setting a tone, getting a first down on an early down. This is, I believe, their 6th series of the game, right before halftime or right after halftime. Pacheco, these kind of runs set the tone, and the Chiefs had almost none of them this year between him and Kareem Hunt. I mean, this is first down, up 3 points, I believe, on the Bills in their place in the 4th quarter. First down from the 32-yard line. Pacheco takes the toss. It's blocked really well, but Pacheco just shows a different level of explosiveness than what we saw from him this season. He gets him inside the 10, sets up a goal-to-go situation in the 4th quarter, and this is just the element of the offense that was missing. I think there was a lack of explosiveness in both the passing game and the run game, but it really stuck out in the run game to me. Another explosive in the Super Bowl last year, which, by the way, this is a whole nother point, but the Chiefs ran the ball and established the run early on against the 49ers last year, made them respect it. Did not do the same this year against the Philadelphia Eagles. But check out Pacheco right here. I don't think he's doing this year. Look at the hole that he's about to go through. I mean, that is not a very wide gap. Don't mind the fact that Fred Warner is totally getting held right here. But Pacheco fits through a small hole. Then he sees a crease, uses his explosion and his burst, gets through, and goes down after about 12, 13 yards. We were not seeing runs like this by the Chiefs in 2024. I know that the run game should get better next year with Tooney going back inside the guard. Obviously, you see Caliendo right here. He gets beat on this play. And with Pacheco having a full offseason to recover, but I just think that they have to improve. They have to bring somebody in. I'll get to that here in a moment, but I think they're going to have to bring somebody in, probably via the draft. I mean, check out this play from the Super Bowl. A little reverse play, a little counter play to Isaiah Pacheco. Like I said, Caliendo gets beat. You got the D tackle in there before the play is even able to develop, and it's just swallowed up for a loss. Dysfunction is certainly a word that you could use to describe the entire offensive unit of the 2024 Chiefs, but especially in the run game. You're going to see this play against Philadelphia where Xavier Worthy comes in motion. You're supposed to have Travis Kelce pulling. He ends up getting in the way of Kareem Hunt. We'll run this back right here. He gets in the way of Kareem Hunt, runs into him. Hunt isn't able to get anywhere, and he's instantly swarmed by 3 Eagles defenders. I mean, even if Kelce makes this block, this is going to be a tough play to run the rock with. And just to make it clear, I'm pointing out Pacheco and Hunt just being the specific running backs on these plays, but this is equally on the offensive line. And as I mentioned, we'll see what it looks like when Joe Tooney comes back, but this is just an area they're going to have to improve. I mentioned that the Chiefs should bring in a rookie running back from the draft. I think there are 3 options that I would look at if I was the Kansas City Chiefs. One is Devin Neal from Kansas. You're going to see him hit this hole. He's got explosion. He's got burst. I think he's a little bit of a hybrid between the roles of Pacheco and Hunt. I'm not sure he's as quick as Pacheco is in his healthy kind of peak. I'm not sure he's quite as powerful as Kareem Hunt was in his prime, but I think he's a good mix of those 2 traits, and I think that he would fit in well in this scheme. Another one that I really like is Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Johnson runs the football with power. He has good vision. You see him run through, I believe that's Cody Simon right there for Ohio State, and he just was a really powerful runner, has a great contact balance. I think he would be good as well. This right here is the kind of thing that the Chiefs are missing at the running back position. You're going to see Johnson get the handoff right here. This is instantly cluttered up. I mean, there's a little hole right here that is starting to form, but I'm not sure that either of the Chiefs running backs have the vision or patience to find this hole, which Johnson does. Makes one move, makes the safety miss, hits him with a stiff arm to the ground, and he is out of there to the crib. I think that this could be very, very beneficial to Kansas City, but my favorite one is still yet to come. That is Ohio State's Quinshon Judkins, who transferred over from Ole Miss. He has the highest level of competition that he's played against among these 3, having been in the SEC for 2 years, and then in the Big Ten this year, obviously on the national championship winning team. Look at him hit the hole right here. He's got great speed. I think he's the fastest, the most explosive of these 3 guys that I have pointed out from the college game, and I think that he would fit really well. Check this one out. In the Rose Bowl against Oregon, I just don't think that either of the running backs that the Chiefs had this year are pulling this run off, having this speed to the outside on the edge. Obviously, he's going to get the extra yards with the face mask, but he's just an extremely explosive running back that I like a lot. 2 more here from the national championship by Judkins. This one, he's got a run here to the left. It's going to be clogged up by Notre Dame. You've got 4 bodies right here in the hole, but on the right side, you've got the tackle taking down the man on the edge. One cut, Judkins is getting up out of there. He's showing you his speed. I think that this kind of speed, this kind of burst at the running back position, even though he gets caught, would be a breath of fresh air for Chiefs fans. Ohio State didn't really utilize Jenkins a whole lot in the passing game, but when they did, there were really good results yielded, And here's an example. Once again, in the national championship, you're going to see him in this trips bunch over here. He is the number 1 receiver here in this bunch. It's a screen to him. He gets blockers, uses his speed, gets the first down and more. I think that in Andy Reid's system, he could play a Jerick McKinnon type role from a couple of years ago and be really successful catching the ball out of the backfield. The final area where the Chiefs can look to improve in 2025 is the receiving room. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Rashee Rice's return, depending on when that is with the injury and a possible looming suspension, should help. But I think they need to add another wide receiver, or at the very least continue to develop Xavier Worthy and take him to that next level. They were not explosive in the pass game the same way that they weren't explosive at all in the run game. They didn't throw deep very often, and when they did, they weren't good. And the slot targets and productivity went way down after Rice went down. So bring Rice back, get him back up to speed, and get him producing the way he was as a rookie here in year 3, which we'll talk about more here in a minute. And then get Xavier Worthy developed. Maybe pick up a low-key veteran wide receiver if you don't bring back Hollywood Brown. The number 1 area where the Chiefs can benefit is simply by Rashee Rice returning. Rice was set to have a monster year when he went down in week 4. Check out this route right here. Let's run this back really quick so you guys can see where he's lined up. He's the number 3 down here to the field side, and just check out the twitchiness of Rashee Rice. We'll see how that looks coming off of the ACL injury, but I think Rashee Rice is going to be a big-time weapon. We saw him have, I think, 1,200 yards total as a rookie when they won that 2nd Super Bowl in a row last season. I think that if he has a proper recovery and doesn't get hit with a long suspension, he could play a really, really big role. When you think about it, the Chiefs didn't really have that guy that they could go to on the critical downs. Obviously, a lot has been made of Travis Kelce, his future, his ability, and what he has left in the tank. DeAndre Hopkins is not the same D-Hop we once knew. Hollywood Brown didn't even get on the field until like week 15. And then you got a cast of guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Noah Gray. There's not really that go-to guy. I think that's exactly what Rashee Rice is and what he would have been had he been on the field. I mean, check this play right here. Mahomes is scanning. There's nothing there. Then he fits it into Rashee Rice. Just see the different level of speed and explosion versus the other Chiefs wide receivers. I know Xavier Worthy is fast, but I'm not sure he's as twitchy as Rashee Rice is, and I think the two of them together next year could be really dangerous. Not only is Rice dangerous from the slot, though, you see him lined up one-on-one here to the boundary. He can play on the outside as well, and I think that could open up one thing the Chiefs really struggled with this year, which is deep passing. I mean, check this one out from week 2 against the Bengals. First off, check the release. He's got the fast twitch I mentioned. He just keeps getting separation. Great throw by Mahomes, and it's a touchdown for Kansas City. I think that Rashee Rice could add a very, very much needed vertical element to this offense when he returns. All in all, at the end of the day, everyone's celebrating the Chiefs' demise. I would advise you to not do that prematurely. They will be back. They will compete. They have Patrick Mahomes. They have Andy Reid. They have Spags, and they have that defense. But I think all 3 of these areas, if they improve, they can be a lot better than they were even this year at essentially 15-1. But hey, if you liked the video, subscribe, comment, leave a like. We'll have more videos coming out throughout the end of the week and the weekend, and hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you later.